Morning, everybody. It is Friday, April the 9th, 2021. Want to give y'all a brief history lesson, let's say. The history of and the use of the useful idiot we currently call the Karens. Well, start with what is a Karen in today's world. Today's world is the Karen. Karen is an individual, not necessarily a lady, but typically a lady. They are what we used to call the busybodies, the person who is always up in everybody else's business and offering opinions and on stuff that they knew very little about, but thought that they, were the end all, be all, or the authority in that particular subject, even though they knew very little about it, if anything about it. With the onset of the internet and having information at our fingertips, it's become more prevalent that people are now becoming armchair quarterbacks and, getting vast amounts of knowledge in a single click. So they can easily become quote unquote an authority in any particular subject as long as they Google search it. Karens these days have been associated with the power structure of the HOAs, where you give them a little bit of power and they're gonna push you over the edge and take that power to as far as they can. Karen is also the person at a restaurant that because now we have Yelp and people are worried about their reputation. The onset of Yelp allowed the customer to not only argue to the manager that, hey, Bill or Sarah, the waiter, didn't serve me well. Instead of just taking it to the manager, now we not only take it to the manager, we also take it to the world and destroy a business. We also have the Karens of the world that are, because they are woke and they think that they know best, which majority of these people, their authority and their knowledge are not earned. You have the generation of the participation trophies out there, and they are generally the Karens of the world these days. They have their authority and their and stuff are assumed. They were given these things by their very birthright. Because I participated in a baseball game, I get a trophy. Because I kicked a ball in a soccer game, I get a trophy. None of these things were earned, they were just given. And because the world is as it is, we continue to just give them these rewards. Now, these are also useful idiots for the news, for political weapons, and things of that nature. back in the day, and we're going to go ahead and use Nazi Germany because the situation in Nazi Germany, or pre-Nazi Germany, World War I basically had devastated Germany, and their entire infrastructure, as well as their banking structure, as well as everything about Germany, was pretty much in the toilet. Jobs were hard to find. Money was, demonetized almost. Nobody wanted the German mark, so it was almost worthless. And we enter Hitler. Hitler entered into the Nazi Party. Basically, the Nazi Party was what we would now call BLM or Antifa. They were small little fringe group that actually, preached very, very, very similar mantras as BLM and Antifa do today. They actually became a political party and decided to run a candidate in their, elections. Which I look for, because we are so, in our country, we're so predicated on a two-party system. A third party typically does not function or has very little chance of succeeding. Why create a third party when you can just take over one of the two predicating political parties, which is what BLM and Antifa are doing. They have, the far left has nearly destroyed the centrist blue dog Democrat in politics today. They have successfully infiltrated, sidetracked, and hijacked the Democratic Party. Now, enter the Karens. Okay, well, Hitler gave, why he became so popular and was able to actually run for their presidency, or whatever they called it at that time. It's now known as the Fuhrer, but he gave the German people a scapegoat. Brief Hitler history. Hitler was a house painter, and he was, a very, very small business and everything else like that. Problem is that in his industry, the Jewish people, the Jewish companies, as always, most Jewish companies, even in today, prosper quite well. The Jewish house painters and stuff like that in Germany at the time were, the companies to beat. They were the biggest competition in the industry, and therefore Hitler actually struggled as a small businessman because of the competition in his industry, which was the Jewish companies. He actually gave the German people a scapegoat, or someone to focus all of their rage and their frustrations on, the Jewish people. Well, that worked. Not only because he used the people's frustrations, their hunger, their needs, and stuff like that as a political pawn, neighbors upon neighbors, the German people, the non-Jewish German people, would gladly rat out the Jewish people. And because early in his presidency, or whatever you want to call it at that time, Hitler actually implemented gun registries, gun confiscations, and everything else like that, and basically disarmed his people unless you were a part of his military, which, much like China nowadays, where China's military is huge, but China's military is also its police force. As huge as China's military is, it is not a military built upon and designed upon as a defensive offense defense structure, but I am sure it can facilitate those functions, offense as well as defense. The military is so spread out through the people because it is actually the police force for the government. There is no, each little province and territory in China and city in China do not have their own individual police force. Everything is a branch of the government, which means that the military polices everything in China. The government, basically, the government of Germany became one of the biggest employers in the country because it wanted socialism, and the country became its own nanny state, and the only way to actually be what it was, or what it was wanting to be, it had to hire and pay the people themselves. The country of Germany became a employer in that sense, thus building a huge military. It supplicated smaller police forces throughout the country in terms of implementing a government-run military inside there. The Karens of Germany had no problems, following the orders and ratting out their fellows, because they were rewarded for their backstabbing of their fellows. They get money, things of that nature. Positions, power, things of that nature. And in today's world, the same thing's happening. We've got millennials, we've got the snowflakes, we've got the Karens of America who are happy to, rat out members of, their own neighbors and stuff like that if they feel that they are a threat to the common good. If this national red flag law becomes a thing, red flag laws give ultimate authority to people to Yes, it gives it to the people, but it gives it to everybody. I mean, I think I've had it in another video where you're driving down the street and you have, like in Texas, the Browning Firearms has a sticker of a deer that, a large portion of the population runs around with one of them Browning stickers on. You go around and all of a sudden, Snowflake Sarah gets pissed off because you cut her off in the middle of the freeway. She's mad at you now, so she's going to call the police and give your license plate number and your car's description and tell them that because they see you with a Browning sticker on the back of your car, you've got guns, or you are a supporter of guns. They're going to say you're running around with a gun and you're just waving it around or pointed it at her. Boom, red flag law. All of a sudden now you're arrested and they're going to try to take your guns away, saying that you're mentally unstable because you were running around with, your guns waving around. And I mean, I'm pretty sure that most of these people who run around with Browning stickers, it's probably a small percentage of them that actually carry a gun in their vehicles. I'd like to say it was more, but it's probably in the minority. We also have the bone collector, hunter stickers and stuff like that. Firearms are in their logos and stuff like that are actually a fashion statement here in America, at least in the South. We have people running around representing Realtree and camouflage. We've got people running around with HK stickers, Browning stickers, Glock stickers, Ruger stickers. You name it, people are running around with all kind of stickers on their vehicles, advertising for guns project products, hunting products, blah 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 blah. So, in a situation like down here in the South, Snowflake Sarah could actually make a lot of people's lives bad just because she gets a bird in her bonnet and wants to see, all the guns taken off of the world. She becomes the useful idiot. Basically, you just have to offer enough incentive for the snowflakes to bada boom, bada bing. You know what? I'm going to go get me some ice. You know what? I don't need no ice. I'll turn around. Alright, guys. We are almost 20 minutes into this, and I've given you a little bit of a brief history lesson. I hope this enlightens you a little bit to what history repeating itself in today's dates, incentivizing dissension, backstabbing, turning neighbor against neighbor, brother against brother, cousin against cousins, brothers against sisters, sisters against brothers. So, just by offering a shiny rock, what's bad is we're hearing that these shiny rocks that they're going to be offering incentive is going to end up being food and gas and things like that you need just to live these days. And it's not a unusual thing to weaponize food. As far as the Middle Ages and the Dark Ages, starving out a castle was one of the tactics of people, of invading forces, to encircle a castle and blockade to keep aid out of it. It's what we call it today is a blockade. We blockade our enemy to stop them from getting reinforcements, stop them from getting, provisions until their food, water, and armaments run out. This is ultimately going to be the shiny rock or the incentive for the Karens of the world to turn in their fellows. The introductions of regulations against food productions. It's been a long time incentivizing, paying farmers to not grow crops, to keep the price of crops high, stuff like that. That's been an ongoing thing for years and years and years, almost generations now. The government will, supplement a farming family. Hey, don't grow anything this year, and pay them for it. Same thing's happening. It's gonna come down to it, to where the government's gonna say, hey, stop growing. Stop farming cattle, because we're gonna go with soy and make everybody have vegan. We want everybody on a vegan diet. Make their brains mushy and easier to control. We're also gonna pump in enough chemicals into this food to shorten your lifespans, because the world's getting overpopulated. We need to kill off a significant portion of that. The whole Infinity Wars, Thanos's epiphany that the universe is overcrowded and needs to be rebalanced. Half of the population needs to be killed. That is not a new theory. That's eugenics, and it's been around for a long, long time. The Nazis pushed for eugenics, survival of the fittest. But in this case, we don't want the fittest. We want survival of the weakest. People who will actually just follow orders blindly, give power willingly, and give up their rights graciously, and be good little servants. World's a bad place, guys. So keep your gun on your hip, keep your bullets dry, keep a can of beans in your garage. Pull boy out.